My name is Isabel Villar. I'm a lighting designer and team leader at White Arkitekter in Stockholm, Sweden. And I'm born and raised in the south of Chile. In year 2001, I moved to Santiago to start my education in industrial product design. And during my first years in Santiago, I was part of a group of young professionals that spent part of their summers building houses for poor people in remote areas of the country. So one of the summers, and I remember it as if it was yesterday, I met a family that was accustomed to living in darkness. They only had a tiny, small window without a glass, with a wooden shutter instead, that let very little daylight in. They had attached a copper wire to a faraway electrical pole, and they would use the light to light up one incandescent bulb they had, and a very big TV screen. So they said that fenestrations meant cold, not light, and that as it was summer, instead of being indoors, they would move the TV outdoors, and they would gather under this overhang roof instead. That was the moment when daylight and light said sort of deep into my heart. I changed universities after that, in the middle of my education, and decided to go to one that had a workshop course on energy and lighting. It was the only university that had that type of education, and that was my first education in light. I felt like I needed to know more about daylight, so I Googled daylight course in English, and KTH came up in Sweden. So I sent my papers, and after 3 months, I was in Stockholm, without really knowing so much about the weather here, the cold and the darkness. So my plan was to go to Central St. Martin's design school after KTH to study shoe design. But after a daylight course, I continued with a master in architectural lighting, and I just stay here. And it's been almost 13 years since then. So as a lighting designer, I work with all types and sizes of projects, nationally and internationally. However, my main focus is, and one of the main reasons why I joined White Arkitekter, is my vision of working both with daylight and electric lighting early in the stages of the design process. To create the best possible lighting conditions and environments for our projects here at the office. And it's a vision that matches very well White's values on sustainability, social equity, and democratic architecture. So professionally, this is sort of my mission, to bring back the question of lighting into the architectural design process and own it, basically, as a professional. As an example, I'm a part of White's team working on a competition in Canada called the Smart City Challenge, and it's a competition together with the city of Yellowknife, that is in latitude 62 north, so very similar to here, and a non-profit called Ecology North. And our team proposal entails to retrofit the existing lighting, street lighting, and implement smart city technologies by using the lampposts as a beacon of sustainability. So Yellowknife is one of the best spots in the world to watch northern lights. However, due to the light pollution, you cannot see them from the city. So through the lighting strategy that we are working on, that is based on this model light ordinance from EDA and IES, we will try to give back the northern lights to the city and to the people that live there and the tourists. I mean, to me, the Aurora Borealis is one of the most beautiful natural light phenomena that exist. And in addition to this, we are also including other smart city technologies like Wi-Fi, host pods, and electrical vehicle chargers, and so on in the lampposts. I think I would start by reflecting upon how we human beings have evolved in the last 150 years, from the very minute we were able to have electric light on 24/7, and how we passed from following the rhythms of daylight to spend over 90% of our time indoor. And I mean that we are intrinsically still outdoor animals, and this won't change. So how we plan the electric lighting cannot be treated as something random. So it's not about only aesthetics and energy efficiency. It's a much more complex question that starts by understanding the local conditions and the needs of people. And a professional lighting designer is the one who can solve this equation in the best possible way through knowledge and creativity, curiosity, and through listening to all parts involved in the design process. So I see our role as lighting designers as a crucial one, being the link between the architecture and technology, but also between aesthetics and function, and between the clients and the users. To be honest, every time I hear about human-centric lighting, I get a bit upset. I think the industry is confusing people with this concept. You may call it a trend or a marketing strategy, but at the end, the human-centric lighting you see from most of the manufacturers has very little to do with lighting design for people. And it's more about tunable white technologies that may or may not be connected to our circadian needs. So I think that the whole push that the industry is making on promoting artificial human-centric lighting is like persuading someone to drink sugary soda instead of water. Human-centric lighting is lighting fitted for the human needs, and it's lighting that integrates daylight and electric lighting and takes into consideration the person, the task, and the context in the best possible way. And to me, it's not only about tunable white LED fixtures. I think we have to be a bit more careful when we talk about this type of concepts with human-centric lighting. And there is a lot to discover about the impact that lighting has on our health and well-being. And selling tunable white fixtures as a solution that can fix it all is not fair. There's a whole world of new technology out there, LED chips with optimal color rendering, warm dim LEDs that can act like our old incandescents, luminaires that communicate with each other, different types of sensors that can basically react to any type of cues, and devices that can harvest any kind of information you can imagine. But the key is to know when and how to use them, and what to do with all the information. Well, I think that I would like to travel around the world to study light preferences and the different cultures for light that we have based on latitude and historical and religious backgrounds. And I would like to take my family with me, so I need a lot of money. But failing that, at White we also have practice-based research. And as an example, one of the first projects I worked with was a White Research Lab project, that's how we called it. Where together with an environmental specialist, we looked into replacing artificial skylights with real ones. And we researched into the impact of melanoptic light levels, energy consumption, and CO2 emissions for a sportswear retail multinational. So we also investigated how the architectural design process would look like if daylight and electric light will be an integrative part of it, and the methodology for how simulating UDI can help to the planning of the electric lighting. I think there is so much to research on the subject of lighting, and I think we're just at the beginning of discovering how dependent we are of light in all aspects of our life. Probably the Annexet at the National Library here in Stockholm. It was a project I worked with in 2013 at White Arkitekter, and it was a very complex project, a 4 stories underground building with a sole skylight as the only source of illumination. And the aim of the project was to attract people below ground and make them stay. On top of that, they had a concrete slab that was protected, so we couldn't recess any luminaires, and all the cables would have to be visible. So it wasn't an easy project to deal with, but At the same time, I was working together with a colleague on developing a methodology for working with daylight and electric lighting. So this project arrived at the perfect time. And there was no budget for the daylight analysis, so we made it for free. And to me, that was like, I couldn't do the electric lighting planning without knowing how the building behaved with this only skylight and how far sound light will reach the building. So after the analysis, we could clearly see what the problem was. It was like taking an X-ray on the building. And we identified the problems with strong changes in contrast between the daylit and the non-daylit areas, and as well as many areas that were below daylight factor 2. That meant that even if the sun is shining outside, you will need electric light on 24/7. So we created a lighting concept that played with vertical illumination, and we used the existing pillars and semi-transparent curtains on the meeting rooms. We used a combination of different color temperatures to compensate for the lack of natural light and soften this harsh contrast. Warm light we used for close to people as well. And we had a really good collaboration with the architects, and I think this is crucial for a successful project. And in 2014, this project was awarded with the Swedish Lighting Design Prize. So this recognition was key to my career and validated that, as it validates that knowing how the building behaves with natural light is crucial to the planning of electric lighting. I think one of the main challenges has been to maintain a good or reasonable life-work balance, especially having 2 small kids, a husband, friends, and not having a family around to give me a hand. I'm aware that I'm extremely lucky to work here in Sweden, where we have a supportive social system that allows us to stay home with our kids when they are sick, work part-time or from home, and share parental leave 50-50 with your partner. All this with the aim of having a more gender equal society. And also how good employers think long-term about the employees. Imagine that I got hired when I was 5 months pregnant. So knowing that I will work only 50% for 3 months, and then I will be on parental leave for a year. And when I joined White, my now 4-year-old kid was in the middle of his treatment against leukemia. So they still hire me knowing that I would work part-time for an unlimited amount of time. So I'm eternally grateful for this country, for the working culture and the policies that make it possible to have a more human and equal society. And still at the end of the day, of course, we have to deliver and finish our projects. And when I start feeling stressed, I always try to look at things with perspective and remember that family comes first, always. Light inspires me every season, every day and every hour. I'm a 24/7 light observer. I'm attracted to light. So when I go out in the morning and I take in everything I see. I take pictures. I used to travel a lot as well and go to different cultures and observe lighting cultures and preferences of people. I look also at both details in nature and in the built environment, and I love to talk with people about light. I sometimes give inspirational lectures here within the office and talk about our culture of light here up north, and people they are not really aware of the culture. I mean, it's so like deeply embedded in us and in the Swedish people that it's when I see those eyes, you know, like, wow, yeah, that's true, you know, about the long shadows, you know, the blue hour. It's for me, it's an inspiration, definitely. I think that probably one of the reasons is that we tend to overthink things a bit too much. Like evaluate, you know, how much time we will spend writing an abstract and what if we don't get accepted, and you know, like all the energy we put, and then how we deal with the frustration also of not being accepted in a competition or in a conference. But I think we should dare more, and we should also support each other a lot more and reach out for each other. And not only for women, but also for men. I mean, for lighting design professionals in general. To women in general, I would say to find a profession that you enjoy, that you feel passionate about. And this will keep you motivated and will help you through the difficult and challenging times. And to not limit your dreams, but limit your expectations. So to be available to help other people as well when they ask, and to try to maintain the integrity and the values always.